Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege to have you guys joining me here today, and we got a whole bunch of stuff. I keep forgetting to turn my speaker off. We got a whole bunch of stuff that we need to cover today, so without any wasted time, let's dive right into it, and we're going to start off a little bit with some Bruce Willis. Now, hot off the outstanding failure of his recent film Death Wish, God, that film was awful, it's just been announced that Bruce Willis will have a new movie coming out, and it sounds an awful lot better. According to Variety, Bruce Willis is set to play famed boxing trainer Cus D'Amato in the new drama Cornerman, about discovering Mike Tyson. Now, interesting note, the film is going to be directed by Rupert Friend, who stars in Homeland and recently was Agent 47 in the movie Hitman Agent 47. Cornerman is set in the 1980s New York as it chronicles how D'Amato went from training some of the world's greatest boxing champions to finding a 13-year-old Tyson. The movie is said to start shooting this fall. And you know, we've been talking for a while about how, as great as Bruce Willis can be, he has absolutely been phoning in an awful lot of his performances in the last number of years, not the least of which was Death Wish. Death Wish is flat out embarrassing to watch. Like, as a film fan, as a Bruce Willis fan, watching Death Wish was flat out embarrassing to watch. Now, this sounds like a meaty kind of role, and maybe meaty enough to be the type of movie that would get like a Bruce Willis really on board and really wanting to give his best efforts. And if so, maybe we can see the Bruce Willis we've come to know and love. Certainly the story of Tyson and his rise to power and all that kind of stuff is certainly worth doing it. Let's see how this turns out. All right, let's talk a little bit of Avengers Infinity War now. This next one contains a minor spoiler about something that was in the Infinity War trailers but not in the movies. Okay, you've been warned. Ever since the audience discovered that those scenes with the Hulk in Wakanda in the Avengers Infinity War trailers were not actually in the movie, some people have speculated that, perhaps the scene was something that was shot for Avengers 4. However, the Russo brothers have now confirmed that the Hulk shots in the trailers were indeed deliberate misdirections, saying that they wanted Bruce Banner to have the chance to be a hero himself instead of just his alter ego, the Hulk. And this makes a lot of sense. So, as you guys know, like this shot right here, one of the best shots of that damn trailer, seeing all these heroes running towards screen, running towards the enemy themselves, and of course, you got the Hulk in there as well. Absolutely, totally not in the movie. So that's fine. So the question becomes, how do we feel about these sorts of misdirections? And that's become a point of a lot of debate online over the last number of days, is like recognizing that there were shots in this trailer that were not only cut out of the movie, but were never going to be in the movie in the first place. Is that ethical from a movie perspective? Is that ethical? Should they do that? How do we as an audience feel about that? Now, we need to keep in mind and understand that Avengers Infinity War is a totally different movie than a lot of movies. I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. 95% of the movies that come out don't have perception-altering spoilers in them. Like most movies, I've been using Ant-Man as an example. There's no one piece of information from Ant-Man that you could have heard before seeing the movie that would have fundamentally altered your viewing experience of the movie. And most films are like that. Most of them don't have like this perception-altering spoiler in them, right? But Infinity War is one of these movies that has 4 or 5 of them in it. And therefore the hyper-security, the hyper-secrecy, and yes, even the misdirection in the marketing, to me becomes, quite frankly, understandable. Like, I get why they did it. I really do. So I don't have a problem with it as long as the trailer they're showing us still basically captures the essence of what the movie is we're going to get. Like, as long as it's not a Bridge to Terabithia situation where the marketing for that movie made it feel like it was going to be some family adventure and it ended up turning out to be some really dark emotional stuff, as long as you're still selling us the right movie, I'm okay with it. In moderation. I hope it doesn't happen all the time, though. But what do you think about them purposefully using misdirections in the trailers? Jump down to the comments section and let me know your thoughts. All right, let's move on now and talk a little bit of Sylvester Stallone. Get ready, because it looks like another Rambo film is indeed on the way. Sylvester Stallone is once again going to be putting on the bandana for a 5th installment of the Rambo series, which started over 35 years ago in First Blood. Awesome movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. According to Deadline, in the 5th episode of the franchise, when the daughter of one of his friends is kidnapped, Rambo, who has been working on a ranch, crosses the US-Mexican border and quickly finds himself up against the full might of one of Mexico's most violent cartels. And you know, it's really funny because it wasn't all that long ago on the John Campea Show that somebody asked me, you think we're going to get another Rambo? And I said, nah, I don't think so. I mean, Stallone's 71 years old now. I love what he did in the last Rocky movie. Reviving, and I'm not talking about Creed, I'm talking about the last Rocky movie, which was one of the best Rocky movies. It was amazing. And where he's taken the character in Creed and the upcoming Creed 2. But I don't see him doing Rambo again. Maybe Rambo will be rebooted someday, but I don't really see that happening. And lo and behold, here we are. Stone realizing, hey, going back to these old characters works for me. And turns out it is an interesting idea for them to take it into like Mexican drug cartels, playing off some of the popularity of Sicario and Sicario 2 going on right now. It's an interesting thing. Still, it's going to be fascinating to see how well he can pull off Rambo at age 71. Because look, he is a genetic freak. I mean, there's no getting around it. He's a genetic freak. But at some point, like, you can't be the big major action hero anymore. Like, right? At some point? Anyway, jump in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. All right, let's go back to Infinity War for a second here as the box office stuff just keeps rolling. The box office dominance of Avengers Infinity War just keeps on rolling. After breaking the all-time record for biggest opening weekend, the Marvel film has now become the second biggest second weekend of all time, making $112.4 million in its second weekend. The all-time second weekend box office champion is still Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which made $149.2 million on its second weekend. Infinity War just barely edged out fellow MCU film Black Panther, which did hold the second spot with $111.6 million on its second weekend. That means that Infinity War just edged out Black Panther by $600,000. It is insane to see how successful these MCU movies have done back to back. Just $600,000 separating it. Once again, like, the box office dominance here of Avengers Infinity War is crazy. And you know what? The fact that it just barely edged out Black Panther's second weekend really is a testament to just how great the response to Black Panther was. Like, considering that Avengers Infinity War made so much more money in its first weekend than Black Panther did, the fact that it came in so close in its second weekend is a real testimony to just how much buzz, just how much positive word of mouth, just how much people wanted to come back and see Black Panther. It really is an amazing thing. So Infinity War just keeps piling up the box office accolades. Now the second biggest second weekend of all time, expected to keep rolling. All right, let's move on now to the final bit of entertainment news here. We're going to talk a little bit of Luke Cage. So a brand new trailer for Luke Cage Season 2 has hit. After clearing his name, Luke Cage has become a celebrity on the streets of Harlem with a reputation as bulletproof as his skin. But being so visible has only increased his need to protect the community and find the limits of who he can and cannot save. With the rise of a formidable new foe, Luke is forced to confront the fine line that separates a hero from a villain. Luke Cage returns on June 22nd. Now look, it's Luke Cage, which means I'm all in. I cannot wait to see this second season. I really like the first one. Notwithstanding, the first half of season 1 of Luke Cage was spectacular. The second half of season 1 of Luke Cage was meh, but I'm all in. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're doing. And I'll say this about the trailer. The villain is cool. I really like the way they used the trailer to introduce this new villain was fascinating. But the trailer in and of itself didn't get me any more excited for the show. Like, I'm already on board with the show, so I'm in. But the job of a trailer, whether it's on TV or for movies, is to get you, the audience member, even more excited for it. And at this point, I'll kind of say that, nah, it didn't get me any more excited for it. Like, I'm already excited for Luke Cage. Trailer didn't do much to get me even more excited for it. Seeing the cybernetic arm coming in, that's a pretty cool twist, but we saw that coming after season 1. Again, the villain looks really interesting. That's the best part about this trailer. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out. June 22nd cannot get here fast enough for me. All right, guys, that will do it for the news rundown. Now let's get on to the main part of the show, which is actually the emails that you guys send in to me. How do you submit an email to get a topic or a question on the John Campea Show? It's real simple. Just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. Put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less, or else I can't use the question because I'd never even be able to fit it on the screen. All right, let's get to the first email question today. And the first email question today comes to us from Steve Ron, who writes, while Infinity War is shattering box office records, it seems that it will struggle to reach $2 billion because I just heard that Solo and Deadpool 2 are both tracking higher than $150 million opening weekend. Will those movies, if good or great, affect Infinity War in making it to the $2 billion club? And also, do you think that Infinity War could beat the all-time domestic box office record held by The Force Awakens at $936 million? All right, so let's start with the last part of your question there. Can Infinity War catch the domestic box office record of The Force Awakens? To that, I don't think so. And I don't think most people think it will. I mean, what it did in its domestic run is insane, so I don't see it doing that. However, I do see it being very possible that Infinity War catch the more important record, which is the worldwide. Now, it's not going to catch Avatar by a mile. It's not going to catch Avatar. It may or may not even catch Titanic, but it has a pretty decent shot at catching The Force Awakens for the number 3 all-time box office champion movie and bumping The Force Awakens down to number 4. It does have a chance at that. I don't think it has much of a chance at that domestic record. The domestic record seems pretty steep, but we'll see what kind of legs it has. Now, as far as will movies like Deadpool, Solo, and let's not forget some others that are coming out relatively soon, whether it's Mission Impossible or Jurassic World, whatever, will these films prove to be speed bumps to Infinity War in making it to like the giant $2 billion club? Yes, it will be a problem. Like a movie like Black Panther, one of the things, I mean, look, the main reasons Black Panther succeeded so well is because it was such an excellent film. But assisting it along the way was the fact that Black Panther had no legit stiff competition against it for like 5 or 6 weeks. I mean, we thought maybe A Wrinkle in Time would be one, but it ended up being a bit of a box office flop, so it didn't really pose any threat to Black Panther. We saw a couple like that. It never faced any really true stiff competition like a Deadpool 2, which is projected to open with over 150 million, with a Solo, which is projected to come in at over 150 million. Is that going to be a road bump to it? Yes, it is. Is it enough of a road bump to stop it from getting to that $2 billion club or from overtaking The Force Awakens? That's questionable. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe. I still think it's very possible that it could, but we're just going to have to wait and see how that all kind of turns out. All right, let's move on now to the next email. And the next email today comes to us from Anthony Percak, who writes, I just saw the trailer for The Catcher Was a Spy, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I hadn't heard of this film prior to the trailer, but I am interested to see how Paul Rudd takes on this type of role. Not to mention the rest of the A-list cast. Thanks for taking my question, and may the filthy be with you. All right, thanks a lot for the question, Anthony. And yes, The Catcher Was a Spy was a film that I had heard about, I knew was coming, I knew it was on the way, but I really knew next to nothing about it. I knew Jeff Daniels was going to be in it, and I knew Paul Rudd was the lead. But aside from that, I didn't know much. Trailer drops the other day. For those of you guys who haven't seen it, look it up. The Catcher Was a Spy. It's set in the war era, where this professional baseball player becomes a spy for the U.S. government. It sounds like a setup to a comedy, because it's got Paul Rudd in the lead and Jeff Daniels, but it's not. It's a serious drama. And this trailer, I thought was awesome. You know how we were talking about the job of a trailer is to get you interested? Oh my God, this trailer got me interested. And you talk about A-list stars, listen to this. Paul Rudd, Connie Nielsen, I love her. Mark Strong, Guy Pearce, Sienna Miller, Paul Giamatti, Jeff Daniels, Tom Wilkinson. I mean, the cast is stacked. It's an incredibly stacked cast. The premise sounds awesome. The tone of it, the feel that I got from it just watching the trailer was like intoxicating. I wanted to watch this movie right now. So listen, guys, if you haven't had a chance to see the trailer for this new movie coming out, The Catcher Was a Spy, I highly recommend you go catch it out because it's now on my must-see list. I got to watch this movie, so I'm excited about it. Hopefully you will be too. All right, let's move on now to the final email of the day. And the final email today comes to us from Matthew Yamasaki. And Matthew Yamasaki writes, I was watching Zombieland 2 the other day and was wondering, is there any news on a sequel? All right, thanks a lot for the email, Matthew. And look, Zombieland 2, a sequel, has something that has been talked about ever since 2010. I mean, and it felt like, or it continues to feel like every single year, some chatter and some discussion about, oh my gosh, now they're going to get one going. Oh, now they're going to get one going. And then they tried it as an Amazon series and that didn't work. And there were still some more. Now, the latest news that I've heard about a potential Zombieland 2 came in January when Woody Harrelson was doing this he was like on stage of a university and they were like kind of like inside the actor's studio kind of thing. They were doing an interview with him, an evening with Woody Harrelson. And the question came up and Woody Harrelson said this. He goes, I don't think anybody knows this yet, but we're making another one. Now, what does he mean by that? Does he mean we are currently in there are writers and producers currently trying to put a pitch together for one? Does it mean, hey, we've got a script and we're just doing revisions of the script right now? Or did it mean a studio has greenlit this project and we are actually making one? Considering the fact that we've heard no news since January about it, it's highly unlikely the studio had greenlit the project. So what I think Woody Harrelson was probably referring to was that they are still in the process of trying to get something put together to then take and pitch to the studio to get a green light. So that's probably where they're at. If they already had the green light, we would have heard about something by now on an official level. From what I understand, Ruben Fleischer is still wanting to direct it. He directed the original. And of course, he directed the new upcoming Venom movie, which I think is really fascinating. That's one of the reasons I was pretty fascinated with the idea of Venom, is because Ruben Fleischer was going to be directing it. So he's done some really good stuff. He's done some not so good stuff like Gangster Squad, but I still think he was an interesting choice to direct this thing. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Other than that, I mean, I've seen other reports as well, but nothing that's been really official. So we're just going to have to wait and see how all that turns out. All right, that will do it for the email, guys. Now, we got a few minutes left here, so I want to go over and take some of your live questions. A bunch of you guys have been sending in questions live already, so let's hop to it. And the first live question today comes to us from Adam Douglas. And Adam Douglas writes, whose original content is best to you? HBO or Netflix? Yeah, just start off with an easy one. Man, that's a tough call. That's a tough call. Because HBO, I mean, it has put out some damn awesome television. Some of the greatest television of all time has come from HBO. At the same time, Netflix is not only cranking out really high quality stuff, they're cranking out a lot of high quality stuff. Like the amount they're churning out content is pretty impressive. And it's not just The Crown, and it's not just Stranger Things, and it's not just the Netflix series, the Marvel Netflix series that they're doing. They got a whole slew, just a glut of content out there. And now you're hearing things like Amazon and Hulu with The Handmaid's Tale, which is winning all the Emmys. Hulu's making a play to get involved in that discussion as well. But clearly the two kings of the hill are HBO and Netflix. I'll say this. Obviously, Netflix is putting out more high-quality content, but I still think HBO is probably the king when it comes to the overall quality of the content. So right now, I'll give the slightest edge to HBO, but that can change overnight. I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. For now, I'll give the edge to HBO. What about you guys? Who's pulling out the better content right now, HBO or Netflix? Let me know your thoughts. All right. Let's move on now to Murray for Us. And Murray for Us writes, which Disney animated movie do you think will win the box office in 2019? Toy Story 4 or Frozen 2? And hey, let's not forget, Disney, through another one of their companies, Pixar, or not Pixar, but Disney is putting out two other like major films. One is Lion King. Now, granted, technically they're calling it live action, but the whole thing's going to be animated. That's pretty much an animated film, right? Then we're going to have a live action animated hybrid in Aladdin. By the way, Lion King and Aladdin just come out 2 months apart from each other. Just one comes out in May, one comes out in July, something like that, right? In 2019, very close. It basically this, between Lion King, Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, This is setting up to be a really good year for animated film because seriously, last year, besides Coco, it was a fairly weak year. There was one or two other notable ones, but it was a fairly weak year for animated films last year. 2019 is shaping up to be incredible. And look, I'll say it. I know it's popular to say, oh, Frozen sucks. No, it doesn't. Frozen was a pretty good movie. I liked Frozen. I watched Frozen the first time and I thought, you know what? That was a damn well put together movie. That's an entertaining little movie. I know it's mainly leaning towards little girls and things. I get it, but that doesn't change the fact that I thought Frozen was a well put together movie. I know it's all popular to crap talk on Frozen. Let it go. I mean, I get it, but I still think it was a damn good movie. Not one of the best, not one of their best even, but I thought it was a solid movie. And I'm really curious to see what they do with Frozen 2. So anyway, between which will win the box office between just the two of them? Man, I don't know. Because here's the thing. When I go to Disneyland, the number of little girls, I'm not kidding you. I shit you not. It's like every third little girl is walking around in an Elsa and Belsa? I can't even remember the name of the two sisters. Elsa and Belsa, Elsa and something. Anyway, the amount of little girls walking around dressed like the princesses from Frozen, forget about it. I mean, it's nuts. When this movie comes out, every parent who has a young child is either going to take their child to see Frozen or suffer the abandonment of their affections. I mean, it's just going to be that. So as much as I want to say Toy Story 4, it might actually end up being Frozen 2. So let's wait till we see some previews and get a feel for the buzz of the audience till we make a solid guess. All right, Hector Jetta writes, glad you loved God of War. Planning on playing it? Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm one of these guys now that when a new game comes out, see, some people say you should play the game instead of watching cutscene movies. For me, I don't bother playing the game until I watch the cutscene movie and know that I like the story. And so, that was like the stuff with Injustice: Gods Among Us. Watched the cutscene movie, loved the story, ran out, bought the game. That was the thing with Last of Us. I watched the cutscene movie first, loved it. Now, I didn't have to buy the game because, Ryan and Ray already had it, so I went to go play it there. Now with God of War, now that I know the story's made. By the way, I put up my review for the God of War story up on my YouTube channel about an hour ago, so you can watch it there. Quick highlight, it's outstanding. Like, absolutely outstanding. So, yeah, I'll definitely be running out to pick that game up now and play it through, because now that I know that the story's so awesome. And by the way, that's one of the reasons I didn't get Battlefront 2, was I watched the cutscene movie and I thought, this is not good. I'm not interested in playing through this story, so I didn't get it. But yes, I will be doing God of War. Hector Jetter follows up with, went to a regular seated theater and oh my God, I got so used to the recliner seats that I felt so uncomfortable in a regular seat that I couldn't enjoy the movie at all. I remember the first time I went to an AMC Prime and I came out of it going, that just spoiled me. Like, that movie-going experience just, because it wasn't just the seat, the dual laser projection, the great Atmos sound system, all that kind of stuff. It totally spoiled me. Now, I can still enjoy a movie in a regular seat, yes. So I'm not as extreme as you, Hector. But it is a transformative experience, isn't it? When you go into like an AMC Prime or a theater likened unto it, and you have that experience, it does kind of change things for you a bit. All right, Sam Fisher writes, talked a little while ago about how Willis is phoning it in. Do you think he phoned it in for Moonrise Kingdom? Because it's hard to tell with Anderson. It is a little hard to tell with Anderson. And as a matter of fact, no, I don't think he phoned it in for Moonrise Kingdom. I don't think it was the best performance we've ever seen out of Bruce Willis, but I got the feeling, unlike a lot of his other films recently, I got the feeling in Moonrise Kingdom he was given an effort. He was trying. I think he understood that was a movie worth trying and worth putting in his effort, and I feel like he did. Not his best performance, not in his top 5 performances, but I thought it was good, and I thought you could tell he was trying. When Bruce Willis wants to try and gives a shit about the movie he's in, he can be outstanding. And I thought Moonrise Kingdom was one I thought he was trying in. But you're right about sometimes it's hard to tell with Anderson because of the tone of the films. Hector writes, continued, on when AMC canceled My Last Jedi screening, yes, they gave us a refund and free movie ticket, but it still wasn't enough. I wanted Prime to be my first experience. So if I'm remembering correctly, Hector's referring to an experience he had where he bought his tickets to an AMC Prime to watch Infinity War for the first time. They then canceled that screening, gave him a refund and gave him a ticket to another theater, but it wasn't AMC Prime. So while he still got to see the film, he didn't get to see it in Prime, and that was unfortunate. We talked about that before. So, yeah, it does suck that you didn't get that experience, but at least you can still experience later on, and you got to see Infinity War anyway, so at least there's that. Daryl Best Wadley writes, "Hey, John, love the show." Thank you so much, Daryl. "Did you and Ann watch Aliens yet? Did she like it? I've never seen an Alien movie." Oh my God, dude. You watch Alien. You know what? This is going to be considered sacrilegious to some people. It's okay if you skip the first one. There are people screaming at me. The first one is great. The first Alien film is great. It's a very different movie from the sequel. It's more of a thriller horror. The sci-fi thriller horror is the first one. The second one is an action sci-fi thriller horror, you know? It's very different DNA, the two movies. But I think you can watch Aliens, the sequel, without watching Alien. If you've got the time, yes, I do recommend watching both because they're both great. But Aliens is like one of the all-time greatest action films ever. If you haven't watched it, watch it. To answer your question, no, somebody brought this up on Open Mic earlier today too. No, Ann and I have not had a chance to sit down and watch it yet. We were supposed to last week, but then things came up in the evening and we just didn't have time. But we will this week. I'll get her to watch the film this week. Murray for us. I got just a couple minutes left here. Murray for us writes, "Regarding Cinemia's site plans, what's the difference between Elite and Classic for 2 movies a month? Like, why is Elite more money?" The Elite plan allows you once a month to see a movie in a premium theater. IMAX, 3D, Dolby, AMC Prime Atmos, 4DX. Like, Movie Pass and the Classic plan for Cinemia allow you just to go to regular movies, but not the premium theaters. The Elite plan for Cinemia allows you once a month to see it in a premium theater like an AMC Prime. And when you live where I live and an AMC Prime ticket is like $22, it's damn worth it. So yeah, that's the difference. And it's very clearly spelt out on the website. So just take a look there. You should be able to get all the information that you need. Jack Spittle writes, "Who is your preferred Hannibal Lecter, Mads Mikkelsen or Hopkins?" Mads Mikkelsen was great. Make no mistake, Mads Mikkelsen was great in the series. But Anthony Hopkins will always be Hannibal Lecter to me. Jack follows up, "If Deadpool 2 is not nominated for Best Song at the Oscars, I'm going to flip." Well, first of all, that song, if you have not seen the new music video by Celine Dion for Deadpool 2, it's a song called Ashes. You must go check it out. You have to go on YouTube and watch this video. You will love it, and you will laugh yourself silly. So check that out, absolutely. But it is far too soon for us to be talking about it. If it doesn't get an Oscar nomination, I'm going to get mad. Well, for all we know, 20 other movies are going to come out with songs that are better than it. I'm not saying it's likely, but I'm saying for all we know, between now and the end of December, there could be 20 other movies that come out with better songs. So it's far too early for us to start insisting that certain movies get nominated for certain things. But hey, if the Oscars were tomorrow, you're damn right that song should get nominated because it's awesome. And Jack follows up with one more. "John, have you been watching Westworld? It's mind-blowing." Not a huge fan of season 1. I watched all of season 1. I liked it. Some episodes were outstanding. I thought some episodes were snore fests. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. I have not started watching season 2 yet. I just haven't had the time. I plan on it. I will start watching season 2, but I haven't got around to watching season 2 yet. I'm hearing it's an improvement over season 1, which is good because, like I said, I liked it, but I wasn't thrilled with season 1. I'm hearing good things about season 2 so far, though. I Do Monologues writes, "Like Doctor Who, think a movie version would work?" I don't watch Doctor Who. I used to watch Doctor Who when I was a little kid, back when David something or other, the one with the big rimmed hat, and he had the big colorful scarf. When I was a little kid, I used to watch that. Quite frankly, I don't watch Doctor Who today. I think I watched like one episode. Didn't really work for me per se. Maybe it was just a bad episode. I don't know. But I don't watch Doctor Who, so I really can't say whether I think a movie version would work or not. Jack writes, "Do you think you will do a review of Red Dead Redemption 2 when it's released?" I don't know, because I recently did a review for the story of Red Dead Redemption, the original. And honestly, I didn't think it was that good. I know the game was fantastic. But, you know, as a cutscene movie, and I watched like some ungodly 14-hour thing that had just like everything in it, but I thought it was okay, but not so great. So I am not as excited about Red Dead 2. Now, I'll wait till I hear some of the initial reviews, like from the gaming magazines. If it sounds like the story's good, I'll give it a shot. As of right now, I'm not planning on it, but if I hear good things, then I'll give it a shot. Kevin Brown writes, you really should have a once a week spoiler discussion. I cannot wait till the theatrical release is over so we can talk more Infinity War. You're crazy. Love the show. Thank you so much. And yeah, I still got to get parts 5 and part 6 of our Infinity War spoiler discussion up. That's just how many questions you guys sent in. We literally got hundreds and hundreds of questions, and we are still working our way through them. So I will get parts 5 and part 6 up here pretty soon. It's just been a struggle to find the time to do it. Last couple of questions here. Let's Watch writes, hey John, just saw Coco and oh man, it is fantastic. Movie most likely my favorite Pixar movie. Your thoughts on the film? Well, I've reviewed Coco, so I've talked about it many times, but it's wonderful. I mean, it's a wonderful, heartwarming, fun, sentimental, emotional, yet joyful. You'll laugh, you'll cry kind of movie. It's great. I don't know that I have it in my top 3 Pixar films, but that's really a testimony to how good the Pixar films are. It is wonderful, though. I absolutely adored Coco. I've seen it like 5 or 6 times. And oh man, that end, I always get, teary-eyed at the end. It's just, Mama Coco. Okay, last question of the day. Hold on a second here. And by the way, guys, if as you saw, there's a bunch of questions that came in that I don't have time to get to. Don't worry about it. I'm going to take those questions and I'm going to address your questions that you sent in on the next companion video. So don't worry about it. The questions you sent in will get answered. Probably not tomorrow morning, but probably Wednesday morning. I'll do a companion video and your questions will be put on that companion video. So the last question we're going to take here live today comes to us from TNS93, who writes, what was a movie you liked because it was spoiled for you? For me, it was Mother. Don't love it, but it was more interesting than what was spoiled for me. Oh, I hated Mother. Oh God, I hated that movie. Anyway, I can't think of any. Actually, there's not a lot of movies that I've had spoiled for me in general. So I couldn't even name you a big list of movies that I had spoiled for me, let alone movies that I liked because it was spoiled for me. Honestly, I really can't think of any off the top of my head. So I'll just have to say none. At this point, I'll just say none. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show, catching you up to date on everything in the world of movies and television and all that kind of good stuff we like to talk about. Listen, guys, I need you to do me a favor. If you enjoy this programming, do me a favor, huge favor. Head on over to www.patreon.com/John Campea. Get all the information about what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how being a Patreon supporter keeps this show on the air, and also the benefits of being a Patreon supporter. And maybe you'll want to become a Patreon supporter too. If you do, that's awesome. If not, that's totally fine. I'm just glad you're here being a film fan with us. Also, guys, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Click that subscribe button. And make sure you click that little bell notification button as well to make sure you keep up to date on all the new videos that I put out. And follow me on Twitter, simply @John Campea. That will do it for me, guys. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until our next video, bye-bye.